Making the headlines tonight, Prime Minister Hun Sen has announced that he may choose to go to Ong Duong Hospital to regularly check his eye and ear problems from during the war. Prime Minister stressed that Cambodia's foreign policy is to oppose to any use of force or aggression against another country. Myanmar's junta chief has said the military will not negotiate with terrorist opposition forces, vowing to annihilate them. Canada qualified for the World Cup finals, beating Jamaica 4-0 to book their ticket to quarter and end 36 years of failure and heartache. And the film makes history as the first motion picture to feature a predominantly deaf cast in leading roles and the only film from a streaming service to win Best Picture. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I am Dekanin. Prime Minister Hun Sen has announced that he may choose to go to Ong Duong Hospital to regularly check his eye and ear problems from during the war. This is following the inauguration of the new Cambodia-Korea Friendship Ear, Nose and Throat building at Ong Duong Hospital. EAC News reporter Ashana Gojin has the details.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony of the Cambodia-Korea Friendship ENT building of Ong Duong Hospital on the morning of Monday, 28th March, Prime Minister Hun Sen recalled the history of his eye accident and the ear problems he developed from extended exposure to the sound of gunfire during the Khmer Rouge, which he has lived with now for more than 40 years. He stated that in the future he may come to Ong Duong Hospital in person for regular checkups.
មកកាន់មន្ទីរពេទ្យអង្គឌួងនេះមិនមែនម្ដងទេគឺនឹងច្រើនដងសម្រាប់ភ្នែកផងហើយក៏សម្រាប់តិចផងដែរប៉ុន្តែតិចវាមិនជាបញ្ហាទេឥឡូវមិនមានបញ្ហាអីនោះទេក៏ប៉ុន្តែយើងត្រៀមទុកថាទីកន្លែងណាដែលយើងត្រូវពឹងពាក់សម្រាប់ខ្លួនខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងការពិនិត្យព្យាបាល
The Cambodia-Korea Friendship ENT building began construction in March 2020 and was completed 2 years later on 20th March 2022. The Republic of Korea not only assisted in the construction of this building, but also provided technical and scientific assistance to the hospital. While speaking at the ceremony, the Prime Minister asked the Korean side to transfer any latest hospital technology that Korea has to the Cambodian medical team, while also urging the Cambodian medical team to take in as much knowledge as possible from the Korean medical team. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen responded to a social commentator who said that the reason Cambodia does not support Russia in the attack on Ukraine is because of the limited capabilities of the Cambodian military. The Prime Minister stressed that this commentator clearly does not understand Cambodia's foreign policy, which is opposed to any use of force or aggression against another country. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony of the Cambodia-Korea Friendship ENT, Nose and Throat Building Hospital of Ong Duong Hospital on Monday morning, Prime Minister Hun Sen said that Cambodia's foreign policy is based on the law and the Constitution of the United Nations, not on the use of force. He said that although Russia, a friend of Cambodia, has helped Cambodia in the past, the country's official position is still opposed to use of force or the threat of using force against any other country, to respect the independence and sovereignty of other countries.
ខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់កម្ពុជាប្រកាន់ជំហរជាគោលការណ៍មិនថាតែរុស្ស៊ីទេប្រទេសណាក៏ដោយដែលឈ្លានពានទៅកាន់ប្រទេសមួយទៀតកម្ពុជាប្រឆាំងជានិច្ចសកម្មភាពឈ្លានពានបែបនេះកម្ពុជាមិនអាចទទួលយកបានហើយក៏មិនអាចអភិក្រិតបានទេថ្ងៃក្រោយបើសិនជាប្រទេសណាមួយធ្វើមកលើអេរយាប័តបែបនេះមកលើកម្ពុជាតើកម្ពុជាត្រូវទៅពឹងពាក់ណា
On the 3rd of March, Cambodia voted with 140 other countries to support a UN resolution calling for Russia to immediately, completely and unconditionally withdraw all its military forces from the territory of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders. Russia's invasion of Ukraine began the 24th of February and has now lasted for over a month. Russian President Vladimir Putin has made a justification for his action by saying that there are an urgent need for Russia to launch a military operation to demilitarize Ukraine in order to protect the Donbas Republic and to ensure that Russia would not be under NATO threat from Ukraine territory. The UN reports that more than 10 million Ukrainians have already fled their homes, with over 3.5 million seeking refuge in other countries. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has stated that he cannot appoint any officials who do not know how to use communication technology to higher positions because of the difficulty in communicating with them for work and the inherent limitation in not being able to use this technology for further progress. EAC News reporter Srey Kong has more details.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony of the Cambodia-Korean Friendship ENT building of Ong Duong Hospital on Monday morning, Prime Minister Hun Sen said that jobs in the present era rely heavily on the use of information technology, both on mobile devices and computers. So if officials do not yet know how to use this system, it is not possible to consider them for promotion in the administration.
ចេះតែប្រើជុំវិញមកប្រព័ន្ធទូរស័ព្ទនោះអញ្ចឹងបើតែឯងមិនចេះទេខ្ញុំមិនអាចតែងតាំងទេបានទេព្រោះឧទាហរណ៍ឲ្យធ្វើឲ្យបើខេត្តបើអត់ចេះប្រើ WhatsApp ប្រើ Telegram ប្រើ Viber Line WeChat ស្អីផងឬក៏ប្រើ Zoom សម្រាប់ការប្រជុំផងតែងតាំងលោកប្រជុំជាមួយគេយ៉ាងម៉េចអញ្ចឹងអត់តែងតាំងទេអញ្ចឹងត្រូវរៀនអាហ្នឹងឲ្យចេះ
He stressed that the use of new technology for communication at work is safer than using the old phone system of the past. Cambodia recently launched the Cambodia Digital Economy and Social Policy Framework 2021 to 2035. This is a long-term framework for building a vibrant digital economy and society by laying the foundation for promoting digital adoption and digitalization among all social actors, including state, citizen, and business actors, to promote new economic growth and improve social welfare based on the new normalization trajectory. Srey Kong, EAC News.
The Cambodia-Korea Friendship ENT building of Ong Duong Hospital, which took 2 years to build with a grant from the Republic of Korea, was officially inaugurated on Monday, 28th of March, under the presidency of the Prime Minister Hun Sen. Construction for the building began on the 12th of March 2020 and was completed on the 20th of March 2022, with a total budget of more than $8 million. EAC News reporter Dashana Gojin has the details.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony of the Cambodia-Korea Friendship ENT building of Ong Duong Hospital, the Minister of Health, Mom Bun Heng, said that this building is the second achievement made under Cambodia-Korea cooperation, following the Eye Center that was officially launched in May 2015. He added that the new ENT building would help to boost Cambodia's health services to another level. He said, "This achievement showcases the invaluable bond, friendship, and cooperation between the Royal Government of Cambodia and the Government of the Republic of Korea, which is constantly being strengthened and expanded under the wise leadership of Prime Minister Hun Sen, along with the leadership from Korea." The building has 5 floors and is built on a total land area of 4,177.94 square meters. There are a total of 128 beds in the new building, which includes an outpatient examination room, post-surgery room, and emergency room. The ambassador of the Republic of Korea to Cambodia, Park Hung-kyung, stated that in the last 5 years, Cambodia and Korea have been working together on a project to build the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center at Ong Duong Hospital to increase the capacity of the health sector in Cambodia, particularly in the field of ENT specialization. He said he considers the Cambodia-Korea Friendship ENT building to be a strong part of the joint effort between the two countries. He said, Ong Duong Hospital plays an important role in the treatment of ear, nose, and throat diseases, and the most important part is to provide training to medical students. Now, this new building for treating ear, nose, and throat diseases, equipped with modern diagnostics and surgical treatment equipment, will take the hospital to a whole new level. I really believe that it will be another important part of the development of the health sector in Cambodia. Ong Duong Hospital has been a public administrative institution since November 2012 for the treatment of ears, nose, throat, eyes, mouth, teeth, and skin, and with departments in cosmetic surgery, gynecology, general surgery, and diabetes. The hospital became the first public hospital to process digital patient registrations and prescriptions. Presiding over the ceremony, Prime Minister Hun Sen delivered his speech and said that the new building shows the dedication of the Royal Government of Cambodia, cooperating with development partners to bring specialty medical services to meet the needs of the Cambodian people. He added that in the future, an ophthalmology center will also be built at Ong Duong Hospital. The Prime Minister expressed his satisfaction over the diplomatic relations with the Republic of Korea, which has brought many aid projects to Cambodia, including projects in the fields of health, education, culture, information, and communication technology.
នោះហើយដែលហៅថាផ្លែផ្កានៃទំនាក់ទំនងរវាងកម្ពុជានិងកូរ៉េក្នុងឋានៈជាអ្នកនាំមុខនិងជាស្ថាបនិកនៃទំនាក់ទំនងកម្ពុជានិងសាធារណរដ្ឋកូរ៉េខ្ញុំពិតជាមានមោទនភាពដោយសារតែយើងបានចាប់ជ្រើសរើសយកនយោបាយការទូតរបស់យើងបានត្រឹមត្រូវហើយយើងបានថែរក្សានៅទំនាក់ទំនងនេះរហូតមកដល់ពេលនេះ
Prime Minister Hun Sen played an important role in the re-establishment of Cambodia-Korea relations in 1997. Over the past 25 years, bilateral relations between the two countries have reached a new high, with joint projects to boost health, trade, investment, tourism, and development assistance, and with cooperation between the two counterparts seen in many fields ranging from politics to economics. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
The Vice Chairman of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, Chitjili, has stated that all entries in the draft law on the establishment of national human rights institutions mentioned by civil society organizations will be discussed, but they must be based on the 1993 Paris Principles. He made this statement during a consultation meeting of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee in collaboration with the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on the draft law on the organization and functioning of the Cambodian National Human Rights Committee on Monday morning. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the story.
Addressing the meeting, Vice Chairman Chitjili stated that the conclusion workshop was held to collect input from civil society organizations working on children's issues to ensure transparency and participation from all stakeholders. He stressed that all comments made to civil society organisations at the meeting will be considered for inclusion in the law, but also along with the lines of the 1993 Paris Principles. The Deputy Representative of United Nations Human Rights in Cambodia, Claudia de la Fuente, said that the establishment of the Cambodian National Human Rights Commission was important in promoting and protecting human rights in Cambodia, as well as for collaborating with the Cambodian Human Rights Institution. 17 organisations participated in Monday morning's constitution, including 10 associations working with the women and children, 2 under the OHCHR and 5 under the Cambodian Human Rights Community. The National Human Rights Institution, named the National Committee for Human Rights of Cambodia, is an independent, neutral, natural body working in the field of human rights. The draft law on organisations and functioning of the Cambodian National Human Rights Committee began drafting in 2019 between the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, the United Nations High Commission on Human Rights, and the Asian Pacific Forum based in Australia. Since July 2021, National Human Rights Committee launched, disseminated and consulted on the draft law of the public with stakeholders such as NGOs, civil society, union political parties and relevant ministries, institutions in order to gather views, opinions and other input in the draft law to ensure that this law is in line with the Paris Principles and the international minimum standards of the establishment of the National Human Rights Institution. Once the National Human Rights Body is established, it will go through an accreditation process recognised by the Global Alliance of the National Human Rights Institutions, one of the world's international recognised NHRIs. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
The Minister of Public Works and Transport, Senior Minister Sun Chantol, has said that so far, there are more than 500,000 cars in Cambodia that have not yet been confiscated, even as there are tens of thousands of driver's licenses that have expired without replacement or extension. He made this statement while speaking at the inauguration ceremony of the Vehicle Technical Inspection Center of Po Sen Chai Odam branch on Monday. EAC News reporter Srey Puakong has more.
Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, Senior Minister Sun Chantol said that there are currently 490,000 vehicles nationwide that have not yet been inspected yet, calling on the owners of those vehicles to get them inspected regularly and in a timely manner for personal safety and the safety of passengers. The senior minister also said that there are currently 7 checkpoints in Phnom Penh and 17 checkpoints in provinces. At the same time, the Ministry of Public Work and Transport has developed and upgraded the automatic vehicle inspection system, a second-generation feature which can connect and retrieve data from vehicle registration and customs systems. This second-generation vehicle technical inspection system differs from the first generation, as it has been developed and expanded as a new web application. The senior minister added that the technical inspection of vehicles is important to ensure safety while traveling on the road and will contribute to a reduction of travel accidents. At the same time, he said that there are tens of thousands of drivers who have expired driving licenses which have not been replaced or extended. So he urged all with expired licenses to quickly go and get them renewed or extended in order to avoid fine while driving on the road. He said the Ministry of Public Works and Transport has set up service centers in the ministry and in supermarkets for convenience of use, and it will take just 15 minutes to complete the process. According to a study, there are 3 major factors that cause traffic accidents. 96% are caused by people, 3.5% caused by vehicular error, and 0.5% caused by roads and bad weather. Sri Pokong, EAC News.
Cambodia has reported 52 new COVID-19 cases with no new imported cases. There have been 46 patient recoveries and no new deaths. Daily cases are low again for Cambodia. The kingdom has now recorded 15,072 cases of Omicron, 1,350 imported, and 13,722 community cases. Reports of Delta Cron, a hybrid of the Omicron and Delta variants, have been showing up in neighboring Thailand along with other Omicron subvariants in circulation, which have raised fears among authorities of provinces along the Cambodia-Thai border. Fears have also grown over the expected influx of migrant workers expected to cross the border into Cambodia for Khmer New Year in April. However, Prime Minister Hun Sen has reaffirmed that people will have the opportunity to have fun during the upcoming Khmer New Year after missing out on the celebration for 2 years due to the pandemic. Cambodia's COVID-19 case tally has now climbed to 135,513. The death toll stands at 3,054. The number of patients treated successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 131,459, and the tally for imported cases has climbed to 21,207. Healthcare workers are currently treating a total of 924 patients. Now for a look at news-making international headlines this Monday, 28th of March.
Russian Defense Ministry has released on Saturday, March 26, a footage of what it said was the launch of Caliber cruise missiles at targets in Ukraine. The ministry has said that the missiles hit a military target in Zhytomyr region in the east of Ukraine. Residents have faced massive daily bombardment, killing civilians and leaving many without homes. In the first 2 weeks of the invasion, Russians have launched over 40 rocket and air attacks on the city of Zhytomyr itself and surrounding towns and villages. Bombings are taking a heavy toll on Zhytomyr's population. It's a logistic hub. The city, which had a population of about 280,000 before the war, is a key point in the logistical and humanitarian corridor, Zhytomyr's mayor Serhiy Komli has said. Aid from Europe is being delivered to Kiev and further east via Zhytomyr, and refugees are traveling in the opposite direction. As a result of bombing, water and gas supplies have been hit, but the mayor says local services are managing to mend a lot of the damage, ensuring most of the city has water and heat. In order to intimidate Zhytomyr, they are hitting both residential and industrial buildings, targeting infrastructure, adds the mayor.
The second box was found 1.5 meters below the ground surface, about 40 meters southeast of the main crash point around 9:20 on Sunday. The second black box was found 1.5 meters below the ground surface, about 40 meters southeast of the main crash point around 9:20 on Sunday. The black box will be sent to Beijing for decoding on Sunday afternoon. The Boeing 737 aircraft, which departed Kunming, capital of southeast China's Yanmen province, and was bound for Guangzhou, capital of Guangdong province crashed into the mountainous area of Tenzing Country, Gangxi at 14:38 Monday, March 21st. All 132 people on board the plane were dead, according to headquarters. The first black box of the plane, believed to be the cockpit voice recorder, was recovered on Wednesday, March 23rd. The data downloading and analysts' work for the first black box is underway.
Dozens of female students and teachers have marched in front of the Education Ministry in Kabul on Saturday, March 26, protesting the Taliban decision to shut girls' secondary schools just hours after reopening them earlier in the week. The Taliban on Wednesday, March 23, have backtracked on their previous commitment to have high schools to girls, saying that they would remain closed until a plan was drawn up for them to reopen. The U-turn has shocked many, leaving students in tears and sparking small protests by girls in Kabul. It also drew condemnation from humanitarian agencies and foreign governments. Unfortunately, by the advent of the Taliban, all our schools were closed. We girls are allowed to study same like boys. Islam has given us this right, but the Taliban have taken this right from us, said Fatima, a student who took part in the protest. The reversal has sparked disappointment and condemnation, and on Friday, March 25, the United States has abruptly canceled meetings with the Taliban in Doha that were set to address key economic issues. The cancellation of talks was the first concrete sign that recent Taliban move on human rights and inclusivity could directly impact the international community willingness to help the group, some of whose leaders are under U.S. sanctions.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Myanmar's junta chief Myong Leng on Sunday, March 27th, have said that the military will not negotiate with terrorist opposition forces, vowing to annihilate them during a speech on Armed Forces Day, as opponents of last year's coup vowed they will also fight on.
The military known as Tatmadaw has celebrated with a parade of troops and weapons in the capital, Nay Pyi Taw, for the second year since overthrowing the elected government of Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi on February 1, 2021. Junta leader Min Aung Hlaing, in his speech, has rejected any talks with terrorists. A 5-point peace plan by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations calls for talks on all sides, but so far has been little progress. The junta accuses opposition armed forces of killing civilians and security forces in its resistance campaign, while activists say the military has killed hundreds in crackdowns since the coup. Myanmar has been plagued by violence since the military seized power, upending a decade of tentative democratic and economic reforms. More than 1,700 people have been killed and almost 13,000 arrested, according to rights groups Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, AAPP. Anti-coup protesters came out on streets in Myanmar on Sunday morning, opposing the coup, carrying signs saying, "Uproot the fascist military."
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, visibly irritated on Saturday, March 26, has demanded Western nations to provide a fraction of the military hardware in their stockpiles, and he has asked whether they were afraid of Moscow.
Several countries have promised to send anti-armor, anti-aircraft missiles and small arms to Ukraine, but Zelensky has said that Kyiv needs tanks, planes, and anti-ship systems. Zelensky has repeatedly insisted that Russia will seek to expand further into Europe if Ukraine falls. NATO, however, has not backed his request to declare a no-fly zone over Ukraine on the grounds that this could provoke a wider war. Earlier in the day, Zelensky spoke with Polish counterpart Andrzej Duda and expressed disappointment that Russian-made fighter aircraft in Eastern Europe had not yet been transferred to Ukraine, according to a statement made by Zelensky's office. The price of procrastination with planes is thousands of lives of Ukrainians, the office quoted him saying. Zelensky has also said that Poland and the United States had both stated their readiness to make a decision on the planes. Earlier this month, Washington rejected a surprise offer by Poland to transfer MiG-29 fighter jets to a U.S. base in Germany to be used to replenish Ukraine's air force.
The Philippine Coast Guard PCG on Sunday, March 27th, has reported a recent incident of close-distance maneuvering by a Chinese Coast Guard vessel in the disputed South China Sea that constrained the movement of a Philippine ship sailing nearby.
The March 27 incident took place during the PCG's maritime patrol operations around the Scarborough Shoal, locally known as Bajo de Masinloc. The incident has involved a Chinese Coast Guard vessel, Bilbao number 3305, that has conducted close-distance maneuvering over an area of approximately 21 yards or 19.2 meters in the direction of Philippine vessel BRP Malabrigo, the PCG has said. The Philippine Coast Guard had asked the country's Department of Foreign Affairs to help address the issue through rules-based and peaceful approaches, according to PCG Commandant Admiral Artemio Abu. It was yet unclear whether the Philippines had lodged a diplomatic protest for the incident. The PCG has said it had to wait for the go signal from the country's National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea before making the incident public. China lays claim to most of the waters within a so-called 9-dash line in the South China Sea, which is also contested by Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Abu has said it was the fourth reported incident of close-distance maneuvering involving CCG and Philippine vessel in the Scarborough Shoal since May last year. Despite the risks, Abu has said the deployment of Philippine assets and personnel to waters within the country's exclusive economic zones would continue.
After the break, a look at all the latest sports news.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
Canada qualified for the World Cup finals for just the second time on Sunday, beating Jamaica 4-0 to book their ticket to quarter and end 36 years of failure and heartache.
While Canada celebrated, Mexico and the United States will have to wait to learn their fate despite picking up wins along Costa Rica, who's most kept their Qatar hopes alive. The United States got a hat-trick from Chelsea midfielder Christian Pulisic as romped in a 5-1 win over Panama, while Mexico needed a 70th minute goal from Edson Alvarez to win a 1-0 and avoid humiliating draw and winless with Honduras. The victory for Canada puts the leaders on a 28-point in CONCACAF qualifying group, 3 points ahead of the United States and Mexico. The Costa Rica, who beat El Salvador 2-1 and a further 3 points back. To top the three teams in automatic places in November's World Cup, with the 4th place finisher facing Oceania team in the Intercontinental playoff for another berth. Mexico will host El Salvador on Wednesday, the United States San Jose to take to Costa Rica, and Canada to wrap up their campaign against Panama. Both Mexico and the United States require only a draw to seal an automatic berth. After failing to clinch a final spot for a 1-0 away to Costa Rica on Thursday, Canada returned home with renewed purpose and a chance to complete the job in front of a frenzied, red-clad, flag-waving, sold-out crowd of nearly 30,000 at BMO Field. "I'm just so pleased we didn't win in Costa Rica," said coach John Herdman. "This is how it was meant to be. I know why the football gods wouldn't let us score. It was for tonight. We just qualified for the World Cup. This is legit football country. There will be no blown second opportunity as Kyle Laren and Tanjan Banchan netted the first half, and Junior Holliott added the first half to break, with Adrian Maparas' own goal rounding off the scoring. Canada will play at the first World Cup for the first time since 1986 in Mexico, where they lost 3 games and failed to score a goal. "I think this country never believed in us because we're giving them nothing to believe in," said Hederman. "They believe now. This is the time for everyone to get behind football and unite because we can be a powerhouse. It is warm welcome home on a cold afternoon, making a classic Canadian stage to take out the Jamaican side, anchored near the bottom of the 8-team group in 7th, with 1 win and no hope of getting to Qatar. There was a time during their 36th quest to return to the World Cup final that playing at home was no different than away from Canada, with as many fans supporting the visitors as the home side. But there was no split allegiances on Sunday in a lopsided contest. Canada dominated from the start to finish."
Formula's One Saudi Arabia Grand Prix will go ahead after teams received safety assurances and drivers met for more than 4 hours following attacks on an oil facility near the Jeddah Street Circuit on Friday.
Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis said they launched attacks on Saudi energy facilities, and the Saudi-led coalition said state-owned oil giant Aramco's petroleum products distribution station was hit, causing a fire in 2 tanks but no casualties. "We have received total assurance that the country's safety is first," Formula One Chief Executive Stefano Domenicali told reporters after a meeting with drivers, teams, and local authorities. He said senior Saudi figures were also at the track with their families, so they have in place all the systems to protect this area, the city, the places where we are going. So we feel confident and we have to trust the local authority in that respect, added the Italian. The president of the sports governing FIA, Mohammed Ben Solayem, is speaking alongside Domenicali, said the attacks had targeted economic infrastructure and not civilians. "We have the assurance from a high level that this is a secure place. The whole thing will be secure, and let's go on racing," he said. The first indication of the attack came when a huge plume of black smoke rose over Jeddah to the east of the track as cars went around the street circuit during Friday's first practice, which went ahead as planned. A subsequent qualifying sessions for feeder series Formula 2 also went ahead on schedule, but the start of the second session of F1 practice was delayed by 15 minutes as teams and drivers were called in to meet with Domenicali. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff said teams had unanimously agreed that the race should go ahead. Red Bull boss Christian Horner said the sport had to stand together. "Any act of terrorism cannot be condoned," the Briton told Sky Sports F1. "The sport shouldn't be bullied into opposition in a situation like that, just isn't acceptable." The drivers' meeting at the track ended at around 2:30 local time on Saturday, with Mercedes' George Russell then heading to race control. "We'll be Racing, Horner assured reporters. The Iran-aligned Houthi movement has been battling a coalition led by Saudi Arabia for 7 years. The group had fired missiles and drones at Saudi energy and water desalination facilities last Sunday, the Energy Ministry and state media said. In December, an explosion went off under a French vehicle involved in the Dakar rally in Saudi Arabia. French prosecutors have opened an investigation into the incident in February that investigators had found traces of explosives in the wrecked vehicle. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry said that an initial investigation into the blast had not raised any criminal suspicions.
Now let's have a look at the weather and what you can expect tomorrow. And finally, Coda is a feel-good dramedy about the only hearing member of a deaf family pursuing music, an activity that the rest of the family cannot appreciate. The film makes history as the first motion picture featuring a predominantly deaf cast in its leading roles, first film from the Sundance Film Festival, and the first film distributed by a streaming service to win Best Picture at the 94th Academy Awards held on Sunday, 27th of March.
The film won all 3 awards it was nominated for in the categories of Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Picture. Troy Kotsur is the first deaf man and the second deaf actor to win an acting Oscar. His co-star Marlene Matlin was the first deaf actor to win the award in 1986 for the film Children of a Lesser God. Coda, which stands for Child of Deaf Adults, is an English remake of the 2014 French film La Famille Bélier. This win also signified the first Best Picture Oscar win for a streaming service, with Apple TV Plus beating out Netflix's The Power of the Dog, which was a top contender this year with a leading 12 nominations, of which it won 1, with Jane Campion snagging the award for Best Director. Coda director Shian Heder has described how she fought with studios and financiers who wanted hearing actors to portray the rest of the deaf family after Matlin signed on to the film. However, Matlin put her foot down and said that it was important to cast real deaf actors portraying the deaf family members to show the world what deaf people are like day to day.
I really want to thank the Academy for recognizing a movie of love and family on this difficult time that we need today, and this is Coda.
June won the most awards of the night, winning in 6 categories, including Best Cinematography, Editing, and Original Score. And other major awards were given to Jessica Chastain for Best Actress, Will Smith for Best Actor, Ariana DeBose for Best Supporting Actress, Kenneth Branagh's Belfast for Best Original Screenplay, and Ryusuke Hamaguchi's Drive My Car for Best International Feature Film.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check out the website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Telegram or at your favorite app store. More from EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. See you then!